Hi everyone, how are you? So we are back with another session of Expert Roundup, and today we have amazing guest with us, Don Wilder, who has been amazing when it's come to crowdsourcing and crowdfunding. He is master when it's come to Kickstarter projects. So let's welcome Don. Hi Don, how are you?
Hey, hi Atif. Nice to be here. Thanks for
Hi.
having me on.
Yeah, it's pleasure having you here. So I was just giving you a quick intro to our audience, like when it's come to Kickstarter projects. So the only name that comes in the mind, that's Don Wilder, because you have run a multiple Kickstarter projects. So I would like you to share a few things about you to our audience, how you started the Kickstarter, and like how this Kickstarter thing works, and like what's the brand that you people work on actually. Because I've been going through your Facebook post, and you just recently launched a new Kickstarter project, a storytelling game, right? Few days back.
Yeah, right,
I
right,
was just
right.
yeah. So let's hear from
Yep,
Don, like how he started the
sure.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure how familiar your audience is with crowdfunding and with Kickstarter, but I guess I'll start out by kind of giving a little bird's eye overview of the space. So, crowdfunding is kind of like a buzzword these days, and like a lot of people don't really quite know what it's all about. So there's basically three types of crowdfunding, right? You've got equity crowdfunding, which is different than Kickstarter, different than what I do. Equity is actually when you give up a part of your business to an investor who's going to put money in, and it could be multiple investors that come through, kind of this online cloud space.
Yeah.
So equity crowdfunding is one side. Now there's sites out there. One of the big ones is called Fundable, where it's just focused on equity crowdfunding. Now there's another second side of crowdfunding that's charity crowdfunding, and that's sites like GoFundMe, right? There's a few other ones, and that's where the online supporter or the backer is giving a donation, a pure donation. They're not expecting anything back, and maybe a friend's family member gets cancer, so they do a GoFundMe project and they try to raise support. Now the third type of crowdfunding is what I do, and then I've specialized that, and that's reward-based crowdfunding, right? So the two main platforms out there, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, for reward-based crowdfunding. And the concept is, I put up a project, and for me, I focus on like hardware, physical products, physical goods. And so maybe I have like recently I did a portable electric fan, right? And so
Yeah.
I showcase the project, and I have a funding goal on Kickstarter. And when people see that, they have the option to support by giving $79 for the fan. And if I hit my funding goal, then I collect the money, I go out and I manufacture, and then I ship them their fan. So if they support at $79, they'll get one fan. That's the reward that they get in exchange for supporting. If they give $150, they get two fans, right? So there's what they call pledge rewards or pledge perks, and
Yeah.
that's how creators set up their campaign. So I
So
guess a little. Go ahead.
yes, I usually find a creative idea from Kickstarter all the time. So I'm always on Kickstarter. I do have Kickstarter app, and on my desktop it's always open because I always look for something new, presented by amazing people, those who have creative ideas. So I just like to add one thing which I want to especially ask you. On Kickstarter, you just said it's about physical product, right? So there won't be any software or any mobile application that can be funded on Kickstarter or Indiegogo.
Yeah, no, not exactly. So there's a lot of different types of categories for Kickstarter and Indiegogo. I think Kickstarter has like 17 different categories that you can set your crowdfunding campaigns in. Indiegogo, it's like 26 or 30 categories, and those are they range widely. So there could be food, it could be dance, it could be like publishing. You've got, you know, games, you've got technology, design, fashion. There's a wide range of things. But for me, as a product designer, product developer, since the beginning, I've only really focused on physical products. Now, you can look on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and you can see, you know, software, you know, app developers that launch an app and they go there. But overall, as far as popularity, the hardware projects, the physical products do a bit better than the digital based products. You know, someone who launches, an artist that launches an album, you know, and they need support to create their album, you know, it's a digital product and you'll see them get funded. But as far as like the larger funded campaigns that go over $100,000 or even up to $1 million, almost always they're in the physical product categories.
Yeah, so that's amazing actually. Like okay, because Kickstarter is completely different. Like here, you need to have a creative idea if you want to jump into this specific niche, right? Crowdfunding is different. Okay, one thing that I want to make clear here that startups and crowdfunding is completely a different thing. Exactly, right?
Say again, please.
Startups and a crowdfunding, it's completely different, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, they work in tandem, but they're not the same, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, Kickstarter and these crowdfunding platforms are for typically they're for startups, for companies that need, you know, they're bootstrapping, they need that early capital to get going. They don't want to go to investor, they don't want to take money from family, they just need some support. So, yeah, like to get a project up on crowdfunding, it needs to be something that you've created, right? So it's against the terms to actually go out and pick a product directly off the shelf of a manufacturer and said that this is your product, and then you launch it. But as you know, you probably know, Atif, there's some gray area when it comes to product development, because very rarely does any company or any individual start from complete scratch. Like they usually find something that's existing in the market, and then they change some molds, or they change the design, they work with a factory, and then they create their own design. So you know, that's what I've done a lot of. Like I'll look for projects on Kickstarter that do tend to do well, and because I have experience in manufacturing, I can kind of analyze what the cost would look like if I were to jump into that and redevelop it, redesign it, prototype it, and then move forward into actually launching it. There's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to crowdfunding, and I think being able to choose a good product as you go onto the platform can save you a lot of time and money and energy, because you know, crowdfunding is a commitment. Like you're going to have to
Yeah.
commit a good amount of time and money and energy. So getting off the right foot is really important. So that's why, you know, I've helped consult other crowdfund creators and people interested in crowdfunding, because you know, I know from personal experience and from successes and from failures in the space what it
Yeah.
takes to really get a product funded and get a campaign funded and then launched into the market.
Okay, so as you have described the process, like it's something which requires a commitment, right, to the audience that you are making promise to, because they are backpacking you, and you need to deliver it, right? Once you get the money, you need to deliver this project. So if I say, okay, from your experiences, like you already shared that you have been into this manufacturing business for quite some time, but for you, if I ask you, like how you come across Kickstarter or this crowdfunding websites, and how you start your first project. What was in your mind at the time you were going through this stage, and you were like, okay, I have seen
Yeah.
this. This has a like I am pretty much familiar with manufacturing processes, and I have all this creative ideas, and I can go and start a Kickstarter project. So, what was the point that time you think, okay, you can go and start with this
Yeah.
project? What was the starting point actually for you as
Well,
well?
it was you know, I was living in China. I moved to China in 2010, and around 2000 into 2012, I had some American friends that we were all over there trying to find our way to, do business and make money and stuff. And one of the friends, Ryan, had taken his watch project onto Kickstarter, and in about 30 days he raised it was over $300,000, right? And when all of us heard this, like 30 days, you made over 300,000, like what did you do, Ryan?
That's
Right? And so
huge.
I met with Ryan, and he explained to me, yeah, it's huge, right? I mean, it's an amazing start for any business. So Ryan told me what he did, and it really didn't seem too complicated because I was in China. I was surrounded by a lot of factories and had connections and stuff, but basically Ryan had made a homemade like marketing video and set up the campaign, and he had these nice wooden watches, and there wasn't much customization. I mean, a lot of it came straight from the factory, but Kickstarter was fairly new at that time as far as for hardware, so they didn't regulate as closely. But at any rate, once Ryan did that, I'm thinking like, I gotta do this, right? Like I've got skills in marketing. I'm a trained graphic designer from like high school and stuff, so I knew I could handle the online side as putting together the projects. It just came down to like what product would be good to try to crowdfund. And so I had a couple Chinese friends. One friend had a factory for making steel injection molds. The other one had an industrial design company. So we're like, all right, let's team up. We could do bigger things together. So I started to look on Kickstarter for different types of projects I thought would possibly do well. And I came across a belt project where the belt buckle could click onto the strap and slide up and down, and you could make micro adjustments to it. And I remember, because I spent a good amount of time in the markets, that there was a type of belt buckle that used a brake pad. It didn't use the plastic strip on the strap. And so I went into the market and I found some different types of belts. And granted, I mean, I didn't really do much innovative design around it. We took the materials and we made an upgrade to them. So they were using like a cheap PU leather, and the buckles were made very cheaply. And so we pretty much reworked and upgraded the whole product, changed a few small things on the design, and I launched that product. After we sourced it, made a few changes on the sampling. It took a little over a month, and then put together the marketing materials and stuff. And we were trying to raise $15,000, and I thought we would probably come close to that. Now we hit our goal on the second day. So I was kind of shocked. Yeah. Like that was 2013, and I didn't know what to expect, but after we passed $15,000 on the second day, I'm like, well, this is something, And so 30 days went by. I didn't do Facebook marketing. I didn't do anything. That 100% organic traffic from Kickstarter that was bringing these pledges, and that project raised $125,000. So that was early crowdfunding. The platforms have definitely changed, probably similar to Amazon, right? Early Amazon compared to Amazon now, there's a lot more competition in this space. But that's how I got started. I mean, that was my first jump into original product development and crowdfunding. And so from that point, I started to kind of like look for other types of products I thought could do well, both from my imagination of thinking, and then using that to try to look through the market research to see if this type of product I could even find anything on Amazon or anything online, any companies doing anything similar, and then kind of reverse engineer what I found. So, as far as a word of advice for aspiring crowdfunders, guys that maybe are in your group that are doing Amazon and they want to get out of that direct competition of other sellers that are selling the same things as them, and launch something more unique that they can control the design and everything. I like to look at Amazon and Kickstarter as like a power play, right? Because as you know, Amazon, it's a competitive, cutthroat business, and crowdfunding is a space that is more for creative projects and stuff. But there is an overlap. So like when I go to look to crowdfund something like this fan, for instance, you could probably show your community the fan that I did. It's called Vento. right? And
Yeah, I know, I
so
know
Vento
what
fan.
Vento.
Yep, yep. We started. I have two partners on that project. One's in China, still the American friend, and then one's over in Thailand. So we started by looking at data from Amazon, right? And we looked at all of the data around in these, portable fans and everything. The search volume, the competition, and all these different things. And then we started looking at Kickstarter. So what type of fan projects have been on Kickstarter? And usually with Kickstarter, it's more innovative, something that really isn't too prominent in the market yet. And we saw with this fan, it folds, got a selfie stick. We designed a light around it. We did some stuff to make it, more marketable on the unique selling propositions, the USPs. And so after I saw that, I'm like, damn, we got to move on this fast, because this fan product is going to be in the market. There's going to be cheap versions. There's going to be like very basic versions. But if we're going to do this, of course, we want to make it more of a premium product and then get it on the Kickstarter ahead of the stream. So that's
Yeah.
why, it honestly looked a little bit funny because we launched the fan in December, right?
Yeah.
The time as a marketer, it doesn't make sense to try to launch
Exactly.
anything for a summer product in the winter. But we knew we had to do it because that's when, by the time summer came, we had to have product to get it over to Amazon and start selling. But anyway, I guess trying to roll it back a little bit. The main point is using kind of the main markets that you want to sell, Amazon being the big chief, to do your market research and see what type of products that you think, if you do get this launched successfully on Kickstarter, can you get it onto Amazon? And if it's on Amazon, how would it perform? How likely would it be to succeed, right? And I'm a big believer in that, because crowdfunding, it's a lot of work, to be honest. I'm not going to hold back. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time, takes a lot of money, takes time, usually depending on what your goals are. So you want to make sure that it's got a good bridge after you get funded to get into the market and to continue to make sales.
Yeah. So how many project so you are into this Kickstarter game for the past like 7 or 8 years. You started in 2013 with this simple belt product. And right till now, how many projects you have launched on Kickstarter? Because that's amazing to
Oh
hear.
man,
Probably, I think, thousand of products, right?
no, not 1,000. I mean, it's probably been more and more like 20 plus projects,
Oh
because
my
I mean,
God.
I'm not. I've done my own products, and then I've done
Yeah, your
consulting
own
for other
products and like,
companies
yeah,
and friends that
consulting.
that
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's
So like
around
one of the
20 products, right?
projects that was pretty successful. Yeah, probably about 20 or 30. I don't keep
Which,
a active count, but yeah, it's I've launched products without crowdfunding, because there's also a note of there's some things that just don't work as well on crowdfunding, right? So even though it's a good product and it's fit for the market, it's not very suitable for crowdfunding. So under those circumstances, I've developed products and I've just skipped crowdfunding altogether. But if it is good for the platform, I almost always will go to Kickstarter, because it helps mitigate risk. It helps lower the risk because you're able to get some awesome things up front. You're getting market validation, like you're getting to see who your early adopters are, the type of people that like the product, and you're getting the feedback from them, before you even manufacture, so you can make adjustments to the project or to the product if you need to. You're getting media exposure, you're getting brand exposure, right? You're getting pre-sales, so it's like
yeah.
you get a lot of great things without having to take a big risk and create a big production and go right to the market with it. So that's why I always will advocate, do crowdfunding.
Right, because like I know like what you are famous for, launching a Kickstarter projects, and then you have another domain which you are specialized in. Like you have pretty much knowledge about the Amazon, how Amazon works, and like this is what like. And if I'm right, then what you be so I know about this, that you launch product on Amazon as well, right? Which works on Kickstarter. Is it
Yeah, I mean,
how?
I've
Yeah.
yeah, sure. So
Yeah.
basically for me, I mean, I'm a product developer and a
Yeah.
designer by trade, by heart, and I've learned crowdfunding, right? So when people say, oh, you're the crowdfunding expert, I like to think of myself more as a creative product developer that knows crowdfunding, right? But I mean, I've developed a lot of systems, and I know the process. I know the right agencies and the people, and I've got a really good network in that space. So I'm able to offer consulting and help guide people through really clearly. I even put together a course. You're free to share with your members. I put together a free course on people that want to crowdfund, like how to get started and what to
Is
expect.
it a course?
And
Is the
it,
sorry to interrupt you. The
it
course that you had made,
it's
is it
just
free,
it's
right?
okay.
Yeah, is it free? The
It's
course that
free.
you
So
have
I've done
put in?
a free course. If you go
Yeah.
to crowdfund.help,
Yeah.
help,
I will
you'll
add the
find
link,
access to the free course. And
for sure. I will add the link
yeah,
once this session
yeah,
get posted. I will add a link in Facebook and YouTube both, so people can get access to a free course that you have made for
yeah,
crowdfunders, all the ones
yeah.
who
Feel
want to
free.
start with this crowdfunding. That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
I've also
you
have
continue. Yeah.
I did a little mastermind talk around Amazon, right? And I think you're familiar with it if you listen to Howard's mastermind.
Yeah.
So that's basically focused just for people that are doing Amazon and how crowdfunding can help support their business
Yeah.
and
So
give them an
I
upper
was
hand.
part of that.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I would I'd like to address the same question here, right? Because on our community we have so many people that are selling on Amazon. So we follow the traditional route, but we do have our like from our experiences and from the time that we have learned. So what we people usually do when we find a good product opportunity after analyzing it and after finalizing everything, we do add a little point with a little like probably you can say we do make our product a little different from what our competitor are selling to get our own design patent on our
yeah,
product. We made necessary adjustment to differentiate our product that no one can sell on Amazon, but definitely we don't make ton of changes. We just make like 20-30% changes, probably adding our logo, changing like if it's a mug, then changing a handle. We don't work on the product utility, but we work on the
yeah,
product aesthetic to make it look different, so we can have our own design patent and no one can copy our design. So like when I say you guys help people, and you what you people do, like from a crowdfunding, you people took a project to Amazon because you people have already validated your idea and like you have early investment raised, which can help you in developing a product line and shipping to the customer, and you get like results from them. Okay, whether they are liking it, if there is anything which needs to be changed, you people already made this adjustment before launching a product on Amazon. So what's like so how this whole process works? Finding a creative idea and design and making a change on Kickstarter and launching a product on crowdfunding and then to Amazon. How this whole journey work and how you come up with this, because you have
yeah,
this idea and like how you figure it out. Now you need to take it to Amazon. So how this started?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's like I said, there's actually a good number of moving parts, but to try to maybe simplify it in a bit of a nutshell, you've got two sides that are really important, right? You've got the Amazon side, which is like the big side, that's the long-term distribution channel that's going to make you your revenue ongoingly, and you've just got the launch side, right? The launch side is the Kickstarter side that's just going to help you get those pre-sales, get those early adopters, and that momentum to get into the market quickly and successfully. So trying to match those is the goal, right? So if you're just going to pull out a crazy idea and get it up on Kickstarter and get it out there, without paying attention to what the Amazon side looks like, there's a good chance, even if you do get funded, that it's going to be really difficult for you moving into the market after you're funded, right? And there's been tons of examples of this on Kickstarter where these little projects, they raise a lot of money and then they just face dive right into the ground because they have no way to get into distribution. So with the Amazon side, again, you've got the opposite conflict of many competitors, and sometimes it's even the manufacturers that will enter the Amazon marketplace and they compete against you, and they're selling the same products under different names and slight variations, and then it's just a price war. You know, they drive the price down, and it's a hard position to be in. So what I like to do is I keep one eye on Kickstarter to see what type of products are trending, what type of products have been funded well, and going back over the past number of years just to see the common theme of successful products. There's a lot of like fashion products like bags and belts and stuff like that that can do really well. It seems like they're almost like an evergreen type of product on Kickstarter, because you could go to Kickstarter at any time during the year and you're going to find there's a live funding. Usually it's a 6-figure or higher campaign for bags or for
Yeah, I've seen
watches or
this.
for
I've
belts, right?
seen this. That's amazing, actually. I've seen this, and you know what? The cool thing, like I know people from Pakistan. Like I know them. Two of Pakistani that I know, they have a very cool product, and they have a brand called Markhor. They used to manufacture a footwear, leather Pakistani footwear, which is quite traditional. And they launched it on Kickstarter, and they made amazing. Like probably they have raised around 200,000, probably 200,000 or 150,000 on Kickstarter. And it was a simple footwear, but a
Mhm.
traditional Pakistani with original goat leather, sheep leather, and they launched it on Kickstarter back in 2015 or probably. So they were the couple living in Islamabad, and then they moved to US because they have been quite successful with their Kickstarter project, and then they start manufacturing, and now they have a huge brand which works across the globe, and their supply chain is completely on their e-commerce, and they are selling amazing footwears, and with time they are bringing innovation with their products. And I know another Kickstarter project, like it's a complete leather jacket, and they've developed some fancy leather jacket with so much utility with their pockets and everything. And they were on Kickstarter as well, and they have raised probably 100,000 or
Yeah.
200,000 as well. And now they are a big brand, and everybody probably they made a bespoke leather jackets, and they are selling on their websites and all, and they are making amazing sales and all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like, so this Kickstarter is quite powerful thing. But for us Amazon seller, I think, as you have earlier said, like we need to validate our Kickstarter idea with Amazon as well. Sometime it happened like we found a crazy idea, but we like, and once we launch our Kickstarter project and we got funding and all, but on Amazon it's not gonna work. So for all the Amazon sellers, we have to consider two aspects, right? We need to validate on Amazon because that's a bigger market, and this is where we are going to sell our idea. Kickstarter is just a starting point for you,
Yeah.
but for Amazon, you need to continue it as a brand, and you need to build sales and traffic around your product. So I
Hmm.
think that that's pretty
Yeah.
much important for all the sellers to consider it and validate your idea. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
coming back to this point, what should be the first thing that someone wants to
Yeah.
consider while they
Yeah.
want to start with Kickstarter? What should be the first thing? Your idea, or like you should start copying someone? So, from your point of view, which works? Either your creative idea, which is solely yours, no one is working on it, or either you copy someone's idea and just make improvisation, which can improve product viability, and it can improve product performance or aesthetics or anything which you can call it, which
Hmm.
works in, like,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
works from your experience.
I mean, if I was going to bet on one or the other, I would bet on the latter, right? Bet on something that's already shown it works. So if you see that a product is already successful, right, and you can think of ways to improve it and make additions that will maybe even market it to a different customer audience, or there's different approaches on this, but I would almost always go for that route, right? If you have an idea that's super original and super creative, yeah, I mean, give it attention, but you have to test that idea with fire, right? And that fire is typically starting out with like serious market research and criticizing the hell out of that idea to see if it has legs to it. And if it does, okay, you can see that you've got a potential customer segment, you've got a distribution arm, and then you've got like kind of a plan around getting it out. Then you can move into actually prototyping it or getting your CAD designs, whatever it is, and then doing some Facebook ad testing to a landing page. So that's the second layer of testing, you could say, mitigating your risk as an entrepreneur, not putting tons of money out to just start a production or anything, but taking the next little implement stage of testing that idea with traffic. So you can see the different types of audiences that are on Facebook that would engage that particular product, and see if there's a high level of engagement or low level engagement. You could see the size of the audience, you could see the location of the audience, and of course, when you're doing your Facebook traffic, it's basically it's called a pre-launch stage. It's before you actually launch on Kickstarter. You've got some time before where you're building your audience out, and you're getting some feedback about your audience before you even go live. So that pre-launch stage, you're able to kind of like target people that have an interest in crowdfunding, an interest in Kickstarter, and then those other things. So if I'm doing a fan, it's going to be people that may have interest in camping, or the interest in the outdoors, interest in like traveling, since it's a portable fan, stuff like that. So I can see what type of customer or what type of potential backers, potential customers are going to engage with this fan product, and then of course I know they already have an interest in crowdfunding. They've got some sort of connection to crowdfunding. So as I build out this audience and then I go to launch it on Kickstarter, I'm going to have a much higher chance of success, and I've got a much more data to go off of, instead of me feeling like, I think this product's good. Let's just throw $10,000 down and let's just put it all out for crowdfunding. There's a lot higher level of risk when you do it that way. So that's where I'll do a pre-launch with kind of testing out the Facebook traffic, testing out the level of engagement, building out a list, and then preparing it for Kickstarter. Granted, I have a budget, right? Because I think that's another really big thing that you need to like look at and evaluate as a company, or as a solopreneur, is crowdfunding. I did a little experiment. You mentioned there's this game that I created.
Yeah, it's a storytelling game. Yeah.
It's a storytelling game, right? But for me, I can create games really easily because I enjoy it, and I'm good with graphics, so I can whip it up really, really fast. So I wanted to see if I could crowdfund off of 100% organic traffic without doing any marketing dollars into Facebook or anything. So I'm like, all right, the game's an easy thing to manufacture. It's actually pretty cheap to manufacture and stuff. So let's just try it. And we're funded. We're at $12 or $1,300.
Yeah,
so it's
I
funded
just
off organic.
actually I just recently checked, and it's around $1,300. Before this conversation, I was just checking, and it's $1,300. And you were pledging probably $1,000, right? You're not pledging too much.
Yeah,
13, it's
well,
$1,000, right?
the funding goal was only $1,200. It's a low funding
Yeah,
goal, but
yeah,
but
a
at any
little
rate,
funding
like
goals.
the
Yeah.
the thing is, with games, for anyone that's interested in the game space, a word of I don't know, caution for Kickstarter. The game
Yeah.
space is super competitive. Like the other
It's like
categories
Amazon.
for like design. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, just to
Like
give you an
Amazon.
example, the like a fan went into the design category on Kickstarter, and it maybe had 200 projects that were live funding on the design category. In the game category right now, there's around 700, right? So more than like 3 times the amount of live funding projects. And it's similar to Amazon. So if you're wanting that organic traffic from the platform, you really need to be in the top 40 projects to really get a steady flow of organic traffic, and not just today one sale, the day after one sale. So try to stay ranked in 700 projects organically without driving outside traffic. It's really
So,
not easy.
is it possible? So I just have one question here. So, like few things which came in my mind, okay, during this conversation. So, is it possible while you start with your Kickstarter projects, and like when it's live on Kickstarter, could you run outside traffic from Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest or any other sources? Could
Yeah.
you drive traffic to your Kickstarter? Is it allowed, or is it possible?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that is basically, when I mentioned that crowdfunding has changed, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Like before, you
Oh,
could get a lot of organic traffic because you didn't have a lot of competition. But now, 2020, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, you need to try to plan to drive about half of your traffic, right? Because it works in tandem. Like when you drive traffic, you get sales, you go up in the rankings, which means Kickstarter gives you better rankings to get more organic traffic, and they feed off of each other. So for people that are serious about getting, maybe a high level of funding, you have to have an ad budget, and you have to have a way to target, well, to drive traffic from outside. And most of the time, almost 80-90% of that comes from Facebook is the easiest way to drive traffic. But some
digital marketing
age
experiences.
but yeah, digital marketing, you could use, anywhere that you think your customer segment might be hanging out, whether it's on Reddit or YouTube or Google
Anywhere.
ads.
So,
Yeah, you
so,
could
so,
drive traffic from all
so
sorts of ways.
Yeah, so the time you started with Kickstarter in early 2013 and now in 2021, the things have completely been changed. Like people started with digital marketing and now they are bringing traffic to their Kickstarter project through different channels, different social media platform. And probably this is one of the, so I think starting a Kickstarter project is not that easy. You need to have certain thing in your mind before you are going live with a project. So you need to have a creative idea, right? You need to be very much active when you are validating your idea on Amazon or on Kickstarter as well. Then you need to prepare something which is good, which is viable, which do have a viability. People can use it. It shouldn't be a showpiece, right? It should be something which is viable, which is usable. And then apart from this, then you need to have a digital skills as well. And once you are get once you get a raise a capital that you people opt for, like whatever the goals are, then you need to deliver it, and after delivering you need to build a brand around it by selling it on Amazon or any other marketplace.
Mhm.
So it's not too easy. It required a whole lot of hard work, concentration, constant effort. Every single day you need to be working on something and finding a way out. So but it do have
Yeah,
its own
it moves in
charm,
stages.
right? Yeah, yeah, it moves in stages and it do have its own
Yeah, of
charm.
course, of course. It does. I mean, the thing is, if you're going to start by doing something original, right? And that's really what Kickstarter is about. It's good for trend spotting to see what type of products are trending and maybe upcoming, but it's for the newer, innovative type of products in general. So, like to start a development process to launch a new creative product to market. You're going to be looking at a lot of upfront capital to produce that product. And if you're a new brand, it can also be incredibly hard to get exposure as a brand, right? To get those early advocates to support you when you do go into the market. And as far as capital goes too, yeah, just having a good amount of capital to kind of free up a startup. So that's where crowdfunding has its greatest shine, is in those areas, because the traditional route of, if I'm going to launch a new creative, let's say portable fan to the market, what are
Yeah,
my options? Well, I gotta have enough money to open up the molds up front, so that's going to be $30,000, right? And then I'm gonna have to create a production with that mold, which that's going to be another $30,000 to $40,000, and so, like, I'm going to be putting out $70,000 and doing this production, which is going to take me probably 3 months. And then
yeah,
by the time I get checked into Amazon, I do a launch there. I mean, I might be looking at $80,000 or so, and I don't even know if it's going to work, right? I don't
exactly.
know, and I've already spent $80,000. I spent maybe close to 6 months, and so that's where crowdfunding, you can start really small, and you can look for the right product market research methods. Start with small levels of ad testing, moving into product development with more testing, and then crowdfunding to get that real good level market feedback that you want in order to move with good momentum onto Amazon. Because let's say I pull in with the the fan project that I recently did, I mean, we have about
Yeah.
close to 1,000 backers, as I recall. So granted, we get the product out. The backers like the fan. It's good. You know, they appreciate the brand and everything. As we're going to be selling primarily on Amazon, we're going to have a good number of backers that are going over to Amazon right when we launch to leave some unverified reviews, right? And then we're going to
Yeah.
be doing like some promotional stuff to get the product ranked and everything, so we'll get verified reviews. But for for a new brand on Amazon, getting reviews, you know
It's
how
really
hard that
hard. It's
is,
really
right?
hard.
Yeah,
It's really hard. Honestly, it's really hard. And for ranking, and probably this Kickstarter thing is amazing. Like if you already tell all the backpackers who back you on your Kickstarter project, and you start telling them, okay, we are live on Amazon, and you can go and buy from us. Then you don't have to run all the search, find, buy campaigns. Probably you just need to spend a very little on your ranking, and you are going to get an organic order from day one, and with positive reviews, and reviews from all those people who know you, right, who knows this brand, who
yeah,
knows the product, because they are the one who funded it initially, and they have pretty much trust on the product itself. So that's an amazing thing, actually. So I would and there is one thing which I just want to know, because there are shady people everywhere. So have you ever seen like someone who get funded by backpackers, and he didn't send what they have already made promise? Is
yeah.
this happen? Is this happen?
Oh yeah, yeah. It does happen, and it's unfortunate. But I think a lot of usually when a creator doesn't ship the product, from what I've seen, is that it's not necessarily due to the creators being bad people. Like they're
Yeah.
not of good character. It's usually because they just don't know
Yeah.
what they're doing. Like they're in over their heads.
Oh.
They gave a shipping price that's like $5 to get the product out, and then they discover shipping's actually going to cost $15 to $20. Oh, and then they're like, we're actually going to lose money if we fulfill this product. Or there's a lot of guys that are good at marketing, but they don't understand manufacturing too, right?
Yeah.
And then oftentimes they'll go to China for manufacturing, so there's some issues in how the communication works back and forth. So there's a lot of different variables, but yeah, I think there are some scenarios where maybe there's just like dubious people. They make a lot of money,
Yeah.
and they realize there's a slight loophole with crowdfunding, because technically it's legally it's considered a donation, right? Even though it's reward based and there's this honor that the creator fulfill. Like legally, I haven't heard of anybody being sued because they didn't fulfill. And there's been a lot of
Oh.
campaigns, like $1 million campaigns that didn't ship out. I've heard that backers could create basically a class action lawsuit, but the ability to do that would be too tremendous. You have backers in this state, backers in that state, you have backers in that country, this country. So to come together, I think it's not possible.
Then
Uh,
probably sometimes I think someone has just begged you $10 or $20, $50, and he just start thinking, probably I'm going for a lawsuit and I have to spend thousands of dollars for my
oh yeah,
$50,
right.
and they just forfeit it. But as you know, as we all know, like when there are good people in the business, there are some dubious people who just want to have this
Yeah,
initiative, and from like out of these dubious people. All the people who put really hard effort while building their businesses on crowdfunding, they got usually affected. So I think crowdfunding is a new concept to so many people, right? It's not something which is still very, very, very common like other things. It's still growing, it's still maturing. Now people and now right now, as soon as we have seen a startup culture growing across the globe everywhere, so I think this thing will get boost. And probably during COVID, I think there were so many new projects started,
yeah,
right? People are sitting at their home, like laying
yeah,
down on their beds and thinking of some new and crazy ideas, and they
yeah,
were like, okay, probably this is the crazy idea, I should go and launch this project on Kickstarter. Is this happen? Have you seen a significant growth in
yeah.
projects, like
I
people entering
mean,
with more and more projects? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I did a game project about a little
Yeah.
over a year and a half ago, and I think I had 400 live funding projects. It's about the same time of year. So now we got over 700 in the game space. So I definitely think there's an influx of new creators that are, wanting to get into crowdfunding, wanting to get their stuff funded. And just overall, like you said, this movement of people to want to diversify their income and have other options of how they can start a business on on the side, or at least help support their families. And crowdfunding it's a good place to start. There's a lot of moving parts, as I mentioned. For Amazon sellers, I think for Amazon sellers that want to try to get away from direct competition and have a product that's unique, that they can actually own a patent behind it, so no one else can sell that design, and have more control over that product, then crowdfunding is a good place to get that launch started. Now, I guess the thing that entrepreneurs need to think over clearly is there's a need for a budget to get any project off the ground. If you're an Amazon seller, you know this, right? You're going to have to plan out how much of the stock. You got to talk to the manufacturers, see what their opening orders look like, and then you have to, make some calculations. With crowdfunding, there's the same area of need where you're going to have to break down, what is your funding goal? You're going to have two types of goals, right? You typically have an external goal, what backers are going to see, and then you have an internal goal that your team has. So, maybe for like this little game project, $1,200 is my external goal, but internal goal is more like 3,000, right? I want to try to hit 3,000 to really cover everything. But that is also depending on what your budget is, because I have people that come to me that don't know much about crowdfunding and say, hey, I got this cool little product. Usually it's a Chinese company that talks to me, and they're like, can we just crowdfund it? I don't have a big marketing budget. I don't really have much of anything, but I have a cool product. Is it going to work? I want to raise $100,000. And I'm like, it's a cool product, but no, it's not going to work, right? Because again, you have to find ways to drive your own traffic. It's, like you could get on Kickstarter right now and go down through the projects, and you're going to find a lot of really cool products. I mean, I promise you, you're going to find the marketing looks great, the product looks great, and these guys are far from hitting their funding goal. They're going to fail, right? And I think it's just these creators, they just don't know enough about crowdfunding, and they don't invest the right amount to get to where they want to go, right? They just assume that it's just to get the product up on the platform and it's going to fund itself. Rarely does that happen. I mean, if you want to hit larger numbers, it's really hard. If you just want to make a couple $1,000s, and have a few dozen backers to get started, there's you could do it like this game project I'm showing, like validates, but rarely will a company want to do just that. There are scenarios though that one of my favorite is on Amazon. You probably know of this company, Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, Cards Against Humanity. One of the biggest, like probably this is most famous game on Amazon. Everyone has this.
They hit the timing just right, but I'll tell you, they went to Kickstarter first. This is 2012. They funded on Kickstarter their game, and it raised $14,000, I think. Not a whole lot at that point. Comparatively, there are other games like Exploding Unicorns that they start out, they're doing 300,000, over $1 million. The second campaign, like 2 million. So Cards Against Humanity just like beep, they make a little money on crowdfunding, but it was a good product, and they had a good way to market it, and it's a fun game, so they scale it up. So it doesn't always mean if the product doesn't raise a lot on Kickstarter that it can't be successful after Kickstarter. I think that's a misconception that people have. There's always some gray areas. So I've had a friend that he launched some sweatpants on Kickstarter, and they didn't do that well. He only raised like $15,000, and he barely hit his goal. But after he got the sweatpants onto Amazon, and he was really successful with it. It provided like a 6-figure business for him. So I think there's there's a process of just trying to be clear about what your goals are as a company, as an entrepreneur, when you're using crowdfunding. And when you don't know a lot about crowdfunding, it's a lot harder to do that. But that's again kind of why I put together a course and why I kind of offer some consulting around it, just to help people understand what they need to know to get to where they want to go.
So, thank you so much for putting so much value. And the course, Don, that you had prepared for all for all enthusiasts who want to start with a Kickstarter, does it have all the knowledge that people should know before entering a Kickstarter business or crowdfunding business? Does it include everything?
Yeah. So the free course is basically me providing the bird's eye roadmap of what crowdfunding is going to look like if you decide to go down that path, right? And then I focus on the pre-launch stage. So pretty much everything leading up to the campaign that you're going to want to do to get started. So everything from like doing the market research, from getting prototyping started and I provide resources and tools and some of the connections that I still use when I crowdfund, I offer in that course. Now, I do a paid course, and it's still kind of open yet. I haven't actually pulled in students to complete it, but that's the paid course is going to go much more in depth as far as the actual management and operation of a live funding campaign and then a post campaign, what that looks like. So if you do have students that are interested,
For sure,
feel free to reach
sure.
out to and talk to me.
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. This would be amazing, actually. This would be amazing because I'm going to put the course link, the free course link that you already prepared to this live session and on Facebook as well. So people can start watching and they can start building what crowdfunding is and what are the significance and key element that they should consider before entering. And once they have a solid plan and idea ready, they can always reach out to you for your consultation and to be mentored by you because you are already mentoring people when it's come to crowdfunding. So that would be a great opportunity,
Yeah.
actually. So, you were saying something. Yeah.
Oh,
Please.
just one note too is, like, as I mentioned before, like I do a lot of product design, product development with a focus on crowdfunding. So even if your students or your community, if they have interest in launching an innovative product and they want support or some guidance as far as the actual product development side,
Would be
I'm
great.
around for that.
That would be great. Actually, that would be great. Definitely. That would be amazing because they always look for some creative idea and they just need someone who can consult them so they can consult with someone and get their idea validated. So definitely that would be great. I would definitely ask them to get in touch with you because they will be seeing this live session. This will be on YouTube and Facebook forever, and they can still watching like someone who have anything regarding crowdfunding. They can watch this and they can pick things. Okay, this is how they have to do it. So Don, thank you so much for being here and sharing all the knowledge regarding crowdfunding. It was pleasure having you, and thank you for sharing all the knowledge bombs. And like in a nutshell, you have already described how crowdfunding modules work and how someone can start with this crowdfunding specifically. So thank you so much once again. I enjoyed this session.
All right. Thanks, Atif. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for having me. Thanks. Thank you. Bye.